Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, also known as El Mencho, wasn't born rich or powerful. He came from humble beginnings, far removed from the world of wealth and influence. He was a farmer's son from Aguililla, a small town in Michoacán, Mexico. This town, nestled in the rugged terrain, was a place where life was simple but hard. Michoacán is known for its farms, especially avocados, but it's also a place where drug production happens. The fertile lands that grew crops also hid the shadows of the drug trade. Growing up there, El Mencho saw the drug trade firsthand. He witnessed the clandestine operations that took place in the fields and the allure of the fast money it promised. He saw the appeal of easy money, but also the violence that came with it. The brutal reality of the drug trade was never far from his eyes. El Mencho's early life was tough, with little money and few chances to improve his situation. His family worked hard, but the rewards were meager. Like many young people in his town, he didn't see many ways to escape poverty. The future seemed bleak, with limited opportunities for a better life. The drug trade, with its promise of quick riches, seemed like a good option. It offered a way out, a chance to change his destiny. Soon, El Mencho started growing marijuana, getting involved in the illegal drug business. He learned the ropes quickly, understanding the risks and rewards. He wanted more money and power, so he became more involved in the drug trade. His ambition drove him to take bigger risks and seek greater rewards. He moved up quickly, showing a natural toughness and business sense that would later make him a powerful cartel leader. His rise was marked by a ruthless determination. His early experiences shaped his thinking and set the stage for his future as one of Mexico's most wanted criminals. The path he chose was fraught with danger, but it was one he walked with unwavering resolve. Wanting a better life and more money, El Mencho went to the United States. He was driven by the hope of finding opportunities that were not available in his hometown of Michoacán. In the 1980s, he crossed the border illegally into California, a major center for drug use and distribution. The bustling streets and the promise of quick money drew many like him. He started small, selling drugs on the streets of San Francisco. It was a tough life, but he was determined to make it work. This taught him a lot about the US drug market and how drugs were smuggled across the border. He learned the tricks of the trade, understanding the risks and rewards involved. He learned quickly, making connections and building a network. These connections were crucial for his future endeavors. His ambition and ruthlessness got him noticed, and he soon moved up in the local drug trade. He was not just another street dealer, he had bigger plans. He didn't just want to sell drugs, he wanted to control the whole process. From production to distribution, he aimed to be the mastermind behind it all. But his time in the US didn't last. The law eventually caught up with him. In the early 1990s, he was arrested for having drugs and sent back to Mexico. This was a major setback, but it didn't break his spirit. This setback only made him more determined. He used his time in prison to plan his next moves. He went back to Mexico ready to succeed in the drug trade. His resolve was stronger than ever. His time in the US had given him the knowledge and contacts he needed to make a big impact. He was now equipped with the skills and connections to rise to power in the Mexican drug world. Back in Mexico, El Mencho joined the Milenio Cartel, a powerful drug trafficking group. His US experience and leadership skills earned him respect, and he quickly became important within the cartel. He coordinated drug shipments, managed distribution, and used violence and threats to keep the cartel in control. He was known for his strategic thinking and ability to adapt, qualities that would be useful later. But the Milenio Cartel faced problems. Pressure from police and rival gangs, along with internal fights and betrayals, weakened the group. This instability gave El Mencho a chance to make his move. He saw an opportunity to take over and build his own criminal empire. In the early 2000s, the Milenio Cartel broke apart into smaller groups. One of these, led by El Mencho, became the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG. Under El Mencho, the CJNG quickly became a major force in the Mexican drug trade. El Mencho's strategy and ruthless tactics fueled the CJNG's rise. He knew it was important to control land, resources, and transport routes. He built a private army, giving his men powerful weapons and training them for urban warfare. The CJNG did more than just sell drugs. They were involved in extortion, kidnapping, stealing fuel, and illegal mining. This gave them more money and control over local communities. El Mencho wanted the CJNG to be the most powerful cartel in Mexico. The CJNG's rise brought a huge wave of violence to Mexico. El Mencho used extreme brutality to get rid of rivals, silence critics, and scare people. His reign of terror left a trail of bloodshed across the country. Mass killings, beheadings, and public displays of violence became the CJNG's signature. They terrorized communities, forcing people to flee their homes. The cartel's cruelty shocked everyone. The CJNG's violence wasn't random. It was planned to create fear and maintain control. El Mencho knew that violence, though terrible, was effective. He wanted to scare his enemies and stop any resistance. Even though he's one of the world's most wanted, El Mencho has avoided capture for years. He stays ahead of the law because he's clever, has informants, and has created a climate of fear. El Mencho is thought to be hiding in the mountains of Jalisco, Michoacán, and Colima, an area called the Golden Triangle for drug production. This remote area helps him hide and gives him protection from loyal supporters. He's extremely paranoid and has tight security. He rarely uses phones, sends messages through trusted people, and moves around constantly. His inner circle is small and very loyal, making it hard for authorities to get information. Catching El Mencho is a top priority for both Mexican and US authorities. A huge manhunt is underway, involving thousands of police, intelligence agencies, and soldiers. The US is offering $10 million for information leading to his arrest. The Mexican government has sent special forces to fight the CJNG, leading to intense gun battles. They're also going after the cartel's money, seizing assets, and disrupting their operations. But the CJNG is deeply connected and has corrupted some parts of the government, making things difficult. The US Drug Enforcement Administration and other agencies are working with Mexico to share information and plan operations. They're also targeting the CJNG's international drug routes and finances. Behind the news stories about drug wars and cartels is a terrible human cost. The headlines often fail to capture the depth of the suffering experienced by countless families. El Mencho's violence has destroyed many families in Mexico. His cartel's ruthless actions have left a trail of heartbreak and devastation. Thousands of people have been killed, disappeared, or forced to leave their homes. Entire communities have been uprooted, leaving behind ghost towns and shattered lives. Parents fear for their children, who often see or are forced to take part in terrible violence. The innocence of youth is stolen, replaced by trauma and fear. Communities are broken by fear and distrust as the cartel's influence spreads everywhere. Neighbors no longer trust each other, and the social fabric is torn apart. The emotional damage will last for generations. The scars left by the violence are deep, affecting not just those who lived through it, but their children and grandchildren. The Mexican government has a huge job. They face the daunting task of restoring peace and order in a land plagued by violence. They need to catch El Mencho and stop his cartel, but they also need to fix the problems that allow these criminal groups to thrive. This is a multifaceted challenge requiring comprehensive solutions. This means improving law enforcement, fighting corruption, and creating jobs for people who might otherwise join criminal groups. Only by addressing these root causes can lasting change be achieved. The fight against El Mencho and the CJNG isn't over. The cartel is still operating, though under more pressure. What will happen is uncertain, but the stakes are very high. Catching or killing El Mencho would hurt the CJNG, but it probably won't end the drug war or the violence in Mexico. Getting rid of one cartel often leads to new ones. The fight against organized crime needs a long-term plan to fix the social, economic, and political problems that help it grow. This means strengthening the rule of law, promoting fairness, and giving young people other options besides joining the criminal world.